Yo, everyone. What's going on? It's Alberto again here with the Noisecast. As for those of you watching the video version of this very short podcast, you'll notice that I am in a different space. And the reason for that is that I am currently on the road. I'm in Washington, D.C., getting some work done, doing some reviews. But I wanted to very quickly touch on a few things for the podcast. So without further interruption, we'll jump right into it. So, first things first. If you have not already made the switch, you probably noticed a lot of people talking about Bluesky for the first time, probably since it first launched about a year and a half ago, 2 years now. So basically, Bluesky became kind of an experiment on social media in the sense that the former owners and creators of Twitter realized that Twitter was fundamentally broken, trolls, bots, etc., etc. And then, of course, Elon Musk just kind of doused the whole dumpster fire with kerosene. So Bluesky was a thing. They talk about federated posts and these things, and I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I had an account. Back when it was invite only, I sent out a few invites. I got some people to come over, but it just never really like popped off the way it should have. At least by my estimation, it didn't pop off the way it should have. And that really, it was unfortunate. It was bluntly putting it, it's unfortunate because I liked the concept, I liked the idea. I saw that there was potential to do something different that you didn't see in social media, but it just didn't work out. Like, to be very, very honest, it did not work out for a number of reasons. The biggest one was that it was very difficult to get engagement going in the way that most of the power users on Twitter were accustomed to. Also, it wasn't very. It was good. It was kind of like an in crowd thing, and it was like a nerdy in crowd. So it was just like, yeah, if you were one of these people who were like early adopters, really getting into it, it felt like an echo chamber, but it also felt, what's the word I'm looking for? It just didn't feel fully baked, and it just didn't feel like you were getting the kind of conversations that you would in other places. Fast forward to sometime last year, and Threads popped off, and everyone was, really talking about how Threads just amassed such a following, and that was by design, right? So Threads required an Instagram account in order for you to get onto Threads, and so you had the billion Facebook users who are on Instagram all at once, on the platform, making it seem like there was a lot going on. But very quickly, I've noticed that it just kind of didn't work, right? So like in the Twitter world, I was able to leverage social media for a number of jobs. My first paid photography job came from a tweet. A number of writing opportunities that I got came from, being able to interact with publishers and other journalists. And it just became like a very real way to network in a meaningful way, in a way that LinkedIn still can't do. So, as someone who used Twitter more professionally than just your average shit poster, it was a very different experience for me. And coming into to the way that Threads kind of came up, I saw there was lots of followers, lots of engagement, but the engagement didn't really. It felt more like engagement farming, similar to what you saw um, in Facebook when when it was really like gaining steam, or when Instagram was, Instagram algorithms were basically encouraging users to do things like um, I forgot what they called it, but like everyone likes their picture because it'll push it to the top of the algorithm and then someone's feed. So it was kind of the same thing. And the truth is, very early on, I saw there were many people looking for photographers. It's like, hey, looking for New York City photographer, have a job in the next 2 days, and you'd reply to these people, and then it's just like crickets, right? So, um, could be one of two things. One, they were lying, and two, it was engagement farming. It was trying to find these types of posts that people would react to immediately and kind of push them into a for you kind of page. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because there I was hoping Threads would kind of develop into its own kind of community, maybe something a little more, at least for me, a little more focused on creatives, because obviously I'm a working photographer. I am a freelance journalist. I need to be able to get in touch with people and connect with them in a meaningful way, because these are the things that provide opportunities for me. Excuse me. I'm also sick. Like I've been fighting this cold all week. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, so that's kind of the first thing. So over the last month or so, Bluesky, well, really, what happened is immediately after the election, Bluesky blew up, right? So overnight they were getting, they very quickly had 100 million new users sign up. I think in a 24-hour period one weekend, and it was just like, and it was sustained for like a week, maybe 2 weeks. So, like, those are big numbers. Those are really big numbers, and my Bluesky, I got added to a photographer starter pack. For those who don't know, Bluesky has these things called starter packs where the community kind of rolls up all the different accounts. Like you can create an account for, I don't know, like tech journalists, put them all on this list, and people can automatically follow. It's like a bulk follow. That's really what it is. It's a bulk follow. And I think let me just say, I am very happy and I am appreciative of the fact that someone thought to add me to one of these starter packs. Um, Tammy Lee Bradley. Tammy, thank you so much. It's a photographer friend of mine who wanted to put together a community of photographers. Like, this is something that she does well. And I was very appreciative to be a part of that. The only downside is that I don't necessarily know if the people who are now tuning into the posts that I put up on Bluesky, if I'm really relevant to them. So, like, yeah, today, I have a few hundred new followers, but tomorrow they may all just say, hey, he doesn't post enough, he's not posting enough photography, and then they'll unfollow. And honestly, it doesn't bother me personally, but, it is something to consider when we talk about engagement rates, and data. All right, so that's kind of Bluesky. And if you're, at least for today, the big takeaway from all of this is that Bluesky has quickly become the Twitter replacement. So yeah, x.com still exists. It's there. But honestly, people got tired of the bullshit. Like, people got tired of the constant harassment that's on the platform. They got tired of, and honestly, I think the majority of this engagement comes from bots, where they're basically just, they're shit posting, but they're also like replying in a harassing manner, whether it's almost exclusively like um, right-winged memes and harassment accounts. But some on the left exist, and there have been times where um, I've personally seen two bots kind of go at each other for like days. It's wild, and it's also kind of like sad and stupid, right? Like you think about where we are in terms of um, you, I guess like the health of our society. We now have taught robots to basically hurl insults at one another because we can't be bothered to, I don't know, listen, talk to one another like in a meaningful way. So yeah, so X is a dumpster fire, has been for a long time, but now it looks like it's finally dying. So yay! All right, moving on. In the world of digital photography, there was big news at the end of November from Canon and Amazon as it relates to what are called gray market uh, accessories. So, um, if you don't know, gray market accessories are things that are branded with the Canon name and logo, and even the packaging looks very, very um, similar to legitimate Canon products. However, they are either not intended for sale in in a specific market, or they're just outright counterfeits. And this is important because for a long time Amazon has had this problem, not just with Canon products. I think with a lot of electronics, and big name electronics, but also accessories for our big name electronics. I can think of a while back, I was looking for a um, wireless controller for my Nintendo Switch, and I saw something that was almost too good to be true, and I kind of knew it was too good to be true. It was like a $15, $12 wireless remote. Supposedly it had Nintendo branding, and it very technically connected, and then it just stopped working one day. When I looked at it and I tried to get a refund for it, basically was no help because the company who made it is based out in China somewhere, and they lied about it being an officially licensed product. It happens, right? Like, so it was $12, so no harm, no foul. However, in situations like with the Canon story, you have a two, three, four, $5,000 piece of equipment that you went and bought batteries for, thinking they were genuine Canon batteries, and there have been stories where these batteries have exploded because they were faulty batteries, like not really made up to standards, and we buy them because they're cheap, right? Like but that's kind of like the silliness of a lot of people in the photography community. You spend $4,000 on a camera, $2,000 on a lens, but then spending anywhere from $60 to $100 on the battery pack seems like a bridge too far. But kudos to Canon and Amazon. On November 21st of this year, they announced that they had actually shut down a number of storefronts on Amazon that were promoting batteries and chargers that they were selling batteries and chargers that were supposedly genuine Canon products, but were not. They were either flimsy knockoffs, or poorly refurbished Canon products, and cleaned and resold. And obviously, obviously the biggest harm would be the damage to a person's equipment. The big harm for Canon would be the impact on its brand and perceptions on reliability. So this is a big win for them, but it's also a big win for consumers, right? We do want to see more third-party options, but we also want to make sure that they are legitimate, that they are not going to damage your gear. And to be honest, and I fall into this too. It's just like you spent thousands of dollars on photography equipment. Get the damn real battery. Like, go to the website, go to a reputable marketplace. Sorry, but Amazon isn't always it. Go to Adorama, go to what is it, Sammy's Camera, or whatever your local camera store is, and buy your brand's camera battery. Full stop. That's the way you avoid those problems. So again, that's quick news item, but I think it's a big one. I think it's the one that definitely requires some looking into on your part, listener. And yeah, I mean, this is a net win, I think, for the photography community. All right, and today's last bit of news comes from the world of Spotify. So if you haven't heard yet, or if you haven't seen it yet, Spotify Wrapped 2024 is out, and I am waiting for the flood of Instagram story posts of people showing their top 5 lists, what they listen to, etc., etc. But the one thing I will kind of just caution everybody, or really not caution, but just kind of bring to light what it is that we're talking about. So Spotify does this every year. They've been doing this for some time, and it's kind of, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of cool to look back and be like, oh, hey, I listened to all these things. These were the songs I had on repeat. These were the new songs that I listened to, or new artists that I found, and that's cool. But what's troubling is this should kind of make us reconsider our relationship to personal privacy. So privacy is a big thing that I tout on this podcast. Specifically, your right to privacy, your right to disappear if you wanted to, the right to not have companies track every minor part of your life. Privacy is something that I don't even think we consider, let alone say that we take for granted. As we've just kind of learned and it's just been so wild to see how all of this has kind of evolved, right? Like, we were like, okay, yeah, I can listen to every song, I can listen to millions of songs, millions of albums without ever once purchasing anything. Or I'm renting space here for $10 a month. I can listen to all these things, not once realizing that information, all our likes, all the things, all the playlists that we're curating, where we're listening to, what times we're listening to, have all been scraped, collected, packaged, and then sold to advertisers, right? So if you're on a free plan, you're probably getting tons of very, very targeted ads for you. If and honestly, this invasion of privacy is today's poor tax. If you can't afford a premium subscription, they're going to take your information, they're going to package it, and they're going to force feed it to you. And that'll be what you pay to access these systems. So, while, again, I'm sure a lot of my friends are going to share their Rap 2024 stories and the reels, etc., and I'll probably find one or two songs that I've never heard before, and I'll be like, oh, that's pretty cool. But again, it's just my my personal stance with privacy is at odds with these things. So just kind of be wary. Understand that this is literally Big Brother watching you, but you've willingly given up your right to privacy. So in 2025, let's try to figure out how we can keep more of our information to ourselves and not have companies profit off of it. All right. So once again, this is a pretty short podcast because I am struggling to talk through it. Um, if you've liked the podcast, if you've enjoyed what we've talked about today, share it with someone. Share it with a friend, share it with a colleague, and just um, you know, I'd say follow us on social media, but again, maybe just like the podcast. Subscribe to it, share it with a friend, and also, as always, drop us a little change in the Patreon. We have one of those. I'm gonna turn it back on in earnest in 2025, starting with this episode. So, thanks for tuning in, and hope you all have a wonderful holiday season.